Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Movies and Melodies. Yesterday was the birth anniversary of one of our Indian music's amazing voices, Prabodh Chandra De or Manna De. He was known affectionately at home as, actually it was Manna, but the Bollywood industry changed it to Manna. He was born on May 1st in Kolkata. His father was Purnachandra De and his mother was Srimati Mahamaya. His father worked at the Chartered Bank in Kolkata. This was all, undivided India at the time. So they were all employed in very fruitful kind of professions. His father had two younger brothers, Hemchandra De, who was an engineer, and his youngest brother, who sadly became blind at the age of 13, but was an outstanding musician, Krishna Chandra or K.C. De. This uncle, this youngest uncle, who Manada called very affectionately Babukaka, was the biggest influence in Manada's life. He was his music teacher, he was his inspiration, he was even more of a father figure and also a close friend to Manada. Manada was a very, very good student. He did extremely well in his studies. He was also an incredibly athletic child. He played cricket, he played a lot of other games, he used to run. He also took up competitive wrestling all through his college. So for the first song I want to share today, it is from a movie called Dil Kabir Roya. Incredibly fun, entertaining rom-com. It stars Anup Kumar, Jawahar Kaul and Ranjit as the three main leads, and Shubha Khote, Amita and Anita Guha as the ladies cast opposite these gentlemen. It's a whole bunch of misunderstandings and all kinds of things. It's really very, very entertaining. And the music was Madan Mohan with Rajendra Krishan writing all the lyrics. Fantastic songs. Manada has actually sung two songs for the movie, but I'm playing the more popular one. So from Dekh Kabira Roya, Kaun Aaya Mere Man Ke Dware.
कौन आया मेरे मन के द्वारे पायल की झनकार लिए कौन आया मेरे मन के द्वारे पायल की झनकार लिए कौन आया दिल पहचाने आँख न जाने दिल पहचाने सूरतिया कुछ ऐसी आँख न जाने दिल पहचाने सूरतिया कुछ ऐसी याद करूं तो याद न आए मूर्तिया ये कैसी पागल मनवा सोच में डूबा सपनों का संसार लिए कौन आया मेरे मन के द्वारे पायल की झनकार लिए कौन आया.
Manada and his siblings, he had three brothers and one sister. They were all very much influenced by his Babukaka. They all lived in this big joint family. His paternal grandmother, his father and mother, and his siblings, his middle uncle Hemchandra Ji, and his youngest uncle K.C. De. So Manada says that he was his youngest uncle's constant companion. Babukaka had a lot of influence on all the children, where he taught them how to be compassionate, sensitive, thoughtful human beings, and also lead their life with true humility. And when Manada talks about K.C. De, he says that this man, despite the fact that he was so popular, he was extremely popular in the music and theatre scene in Kolkata. He also composed music for a lot of theatre and Bengali movies. He was also popular actually for a lot of Hindi movies in Bombay, so he used to go back and forth. For a man who was this popular and in demand, he was extremely kind and a very, very humble, loving human being who was very considerate of all the artists who worked with him. Even like the smallest of technicians on set were treated with great respect by Babukaka. And Manada says that all of this helped him become a better human being as well. He also got to mingle with the great artists of that time, the great musicians like Ustad Fayaz Khan Saab, Ustad Badal Khan Saab, Raichand Boral and S.D. Burman, who were already music directors by then, Begum Akhtar Sahiba, and so many others. He also credits all of these people for teaching him a lot of, like, not just musical techniques, but also how to be better human beings. He says they all indulged him with great affection, mainly because of his uncle and what a wonderful man his uncle was. So for my next song, I want to share one from a movie called Meri Surat, Teri Aankhein. The movie was very underwhelming. Asha Parekh, Pradeep Kumar as the main leads, with Ashok Kumar having a very, very significant parallel role. The premise of the story was basically you don't judge a book by its cover, you know, looks are unimportant, all of that. But the actual execution of this particular premise left us all wanting a lot more. Not such a great movie to watch. The music, on the other hand, a very, very different story. S.D. Burman with Shailendra Ji's fabulous lyrics. This song is based on Rag Ahir Bhairav. It is an incredibly beautifully composed song. There are two versions of it in the movie, in the sense that it sort of flows from being a duet where Manada is singing with S.D. Batish, you know, like a Guru Shishya kind of a situation, and then it becomes a solo where now you see an adult Ashok Kumar singing this song by himself. So from Meri Surat Teri Aankhein, Pucho na kaise maine rain bitai.
Pucho na kaise maine rain bitai, pucho na kaise maine rain bitai. एक पल जैसे एक जुग बीता, एक पल जैसे एक जुग बीता, जुग बीते मोहनी नींद न आई, पूछो न कैसे मैंने रैन बिताई। जले दीपक इत मन मेरा, फिर भी न जाए मेरे घर का अंधेरा। तू जले दीपक इत मन मेरा, मन मेरा जल दीपक इत मन मेरा, फिर भी न जाए मेरे घर का अंधेरा। तरपत तरसत उम्र गंवाई, पूछो ना कैसे मैंने रैन बिताई।
Manna Da actually kind of stumbled into being formally taught music by his uncle. When he was at Scottish Church College, around the time of his matriculation, or maybe just before, his friends in school basically decided to sign him up without asking him for a intercollegiate music competition. And there were like 8 or 9 categories in this competition. They signed him up for all the categories. When Manna Da heard about this, he got very nervous because he was not formally trained at that point. So he went to his uncle and begged him to tell these boys to withdraw his name from the competition. When his uncle pleaded with the boys, they decided they'd go to the college principal. The principal came to Babukaka and said, please train your nephew. We really need this. We want to win this competition, at least in a few of the categories. So then Babukaka agreed and started training Manna Da formally. Manna Da went on to win the competition. Actually, he won in all the categories and continued to win every year until he graduated with his intermediate. And then he went on to study his undergraduate at Vidyasagar College. In the meanwhile, after he graduated with his intermediate, his uncle suddenly decided to stop his music lessons and said, I want you to practice by yourself. So Manna Da continued his practice. In the meanwhile, Babukaka got a 2-month assignment in Bombay where he was going to go record several albums of his songs. The day he was leaving, Babukaka's own teacher, Ustad Dabir Khan, showed up. The practice at that time was that Ustad Ji would come, stay for several months, train K.C. De and go on. So now that K.C. De was actually going to leave, Dabir Khan Sahab said he was going to work with Manna Da instead. So, everybody thought this was a great thing. After all, such a great Ustad teaching him. Manna Da says he did not enjoy his lessons with this very, very short-tempered Ustad. However, his uncle came back after 2 months and Manna Da continued his musical training with his uncle. So, after he graduated with his degree from Vidyasagar College, his uncle Hemchandra De, who was, despite being the middle sibling, was sort of the one who laid down the law in the house. So he had decided that the oldest sibling would do accountancy, and then the next one would do medicine, and the youngest was going to do engineering, and Manna Da was supposed to do law. Manna Da was filled with horror at this idea. He begged his father, his mother, his grandmother and Babukaka to plead with his uncle and let him pursue music. This worked, luckily for all of us, and Manna Da formally devoted himself basically to music. So for my next song, I have an incredibly fabulous classical piece from the movie Dil Hi To Hai. This was Raj Kapoor Nutan in the lead, with Pran Saab being the absolutely villainous villain that he was so good at. Movie was great, really entertaining, fantastic rom-com. Music was outstanding. Roshan Saab with Sahir Ludhianvi's amazing lyrics. This particular song it's a very complex composition, but Manna Da makes it sound like, basically it's as easy as drinking a glass of water. In the end, there is a fabulous chaturang, which is, you have to pay attention to that part because it is incredibly complex and just beautifully sung by Manna Da. So from Dil Hi To Hai, Laga Chunri Mein Daag.
Laga चुनरी में दाग छुपाऊं कैसे लागा चुनरी में दाग छुपाऊं कैसे घर जाऊं कैसे लागा चुनरी में दाग छुपाऊं कैसे लागा चुनरी में दाग गई मैली मोरी चुनरिया कोरे बदल सी कोरी चुनरिया हो गई मैली मोरी चुनरिया कोरे बदल सी कोरी चुनरिया जाके बाबुल से नजरे मिलाऊं कैसे घर जाऊं कैसे लागा चुनरी में दाग छुपाऊं कैसे लागा चुनरी में दाग छुपाऊं कैसे लागा चुनरी में दाग.
Manna Da, when he was learning from his uncle, he also assisted him in the music production. You know, he did arranging, all of these tasks that an assistant music director would do. So he was getting a lot of valuable skills in the composition part of things as well. In the meanwhile, the background to all of this was the Indian independence movement heating up. He even met Subhash Chandra Bose on one occasion and says he was very, very influenced and very inspired by this charismatic man. The Second World War as well was happening, and a lot of Indian soldiers were fighting under the British flag. There was a lot of bombing and stuff going on close to Kolkata. So a lot of the movie industry moved from Kolkata to Bombay. And K.C. Dey, in the meanwhile, along with Phani Majumdar, got this opportunity to compose music when Phaniji was going to direct the movie. It was called Tamanna. This was in 1942, and they had to go to Bombay for this. So Babukaka basically took Manna Da with him, actually formally hired him as his assistant, paying him about 150 rupees a month, which was pretty darn good for those days. And they all moved to Bombay. They all meaning Babukaka and Manna Da. So when he was there, Babukaka realized that there were certain of his songs that could only be sung by Manna Da because they were complicated kind of classical tunes, and he couldn't find anyone who had a strong enough voice and good technique other than his own nephew. So Manna Da sang also for this movie. Soon other music directors recognized this young boy's talent, and he was hired to sing for a movie called Ramraj, both in Marathi and in Hindi. And he continued to sing mainly classical based songs for a lot of other movies. In the meanwhile, in around 1947, his uncle's health started to deteriorate. So they had to go back to Kolkata. So Manna Da went to drop off his uncle, but he wanted to go back to Bombay because he felt that was where his career was taking off. There was a lot of protesting at home because they didn't want to send him alone. And luckily for him, Phani Majumdar sent a message saying he needed Manna Da there to assist the new music director who was working with him. So Manna Da went and he started, he was assisting of course, but he also started to do a lot more playback. So for my next song, I have one that's very, what most people wouldn't think was Manna Da's style, but he was actually an incredibly versatile singer. People assume he is only good in the very kind of strong classical genre, but the actual reality was that he was incredibly good at comic kind of songs and also very kind of hip western kind of themed songs. So this song is from Bhoot Bangla, R.D. Burman's second movie as an independent music director. Incredibly fantastic songs. I've talked about this before. Each song in this movie is outstanding. You have to listen to it in its entirety, maybe multiple times, because you get new little nuances that Panchamda has put in all of these songs. So this song is a very high energy kind of rock and rollish kind of song. Mahmood Saab on screen twisting away. So from Bhoot Bangla, Aao Twist Kare.
Aao twist kare, ka utha mausam mein. Aao twist kare, zindagi hai yahi. Aao twist kare, ka utha mausam mein. यही ना जुटी है जिंदगानी ओ मेरी जान ना जुटी है जिंदगानी ओ मेरी जान चम चमा चम चमा चम हाय हा ट्विस्ट करेगा उठा मौसम में आओ ट्विस्ट करे जिंदगी है यही आओ ट्विस्ट करेगा उठा मौसम में आओ ट्विस्ट करे जिंदगी है यही
Manna Da continued to assist a lot of music directors like S.D. Burman, C. Ramchandra, Khemchand Prakash, Anil Bishwas and so on. He also actually got a few movies where he was the independent music director. However, either the movie didn't do well or they were shelved for whatever reason. So we don't have much of Manna Da's early compositions as a music director for us to listen to. This was all very frustrating for Manna Da. Meanwhile, he also had to continue his talim, his practice in classical music. His uncle wasn't there, so he had to find a different teacher. He met with Ustad Aman Ali Khan Sahab and learnt some very valuable things, which you will have heard in Laga Chunari Mein Daag, because articulation in Hindustani music is called noom, the method of being able to articulate each syllable very clearly, even in very, very high speeds. This is a very important skill for a good singer to have, and Aman Ali Khan Sahab was very, very good at this, and he really helped Manna Da master this skill. Sadly though, a couple of years and Aman Ali Khan Sahab passed away. So then Manna Da was searching for a new teacher, and you know how they say that when you're ready, your teacher will show up at your doorstep, so to speak. So here's what happened. Manna Da had signed up with AIR to give short classical performances on radio. When he had finished one of these recordings, he had come outside the building when an elderly gentleman came up to him and said, "I really like how you sing and I would like to take you on as my student." This was Ustad Abdul Rahman Saab of Patiala Gharana. He really polished Manna Da's singing and kind of took him to another level. Manna Da also learnt from Ustad Ghulam Mustafa Khan Saab, and he learnt with him how to increase his range. And you'll see this when you hear the song from Basant Bahar, Bhai Bhanjana. Manna Da soars and he spans, I want to say 3, maybe nearly 4 octaves when he sings this song. It is really, sort of goosebump time when you hear him, because he does it with such ease and fluidity. So for the next song that I want to share, it is an incredibly sensual almost, but a very soft, sensitive kind of a composition. It's from the movie Anubhav. This was the first of Basu Bhattacharya's trilogy of movies about marital discord in an urban setting. Tanuja with Sanjeev Kumar in the lead. The whole movie is shot in Tanuja's flat, and it has a very intimate feel to it. It's a fascinating movie. you have to watch it because everyone is brilliant, very naturally done. Even the song filming is just so, there's nothing contrived about any of the situations. Geeta Dutt has produced some incredible gems from this movie, by the way. Music was by Kanu Roy, with Gulzar Saab writing the lyrics. So this particular one is an absolute personal favorite of mine. From Anubhav, फिर कहीं कोई फूल खिला चाहत ना कहो इसको.
फिर कहीं कोई फूल खिला चाहत ना कहो उसको. फिर कहीं कोई फूल खिला चाहत ना कहो उसको. फिर कहीं कोई दीप जला मंजिल ना कहो उसको. फिर कहीं मन का समंदर प्यासा हुआ क्यों किसी से मांगे दुआ. मन का समंदर प्यासा हुआ क्यों किसी से मांगे दुआ. लहरों का लगा जो मेला ना कहो उसको. फिर कहीं कोई फूल खिला चाहत ना कहो उसको. फिर कहीं.
Manna Da was very fond of Western music. Here's the deal. He actually says he did not enjoy Indian classical music. He says he finds it very boring to sit through a concert. He loves singing it for himself as practice, but he never loved performing or attending performances of it. Such an interesting fact about this amazing man. But he says that, you know, singers like Frank Sinatra or Perry Como, Jim Reeves, Bing Crosby, these were all men he admired. He loved their style of singing. And he says, in fact, early on in his singing days, there were a couple of Bengali songs where he sort of brought in Jim Reeves's influence, so to speak, in the songs. But overall, Manna Da never copied any particular singer or style. He had his own very complete kind of a style. He was a very well-rounded musician. A kind of talent, I think, that comes maybe once in several lifetimes. On the personal front, Manna Da claims he was not very comfortable around women. He went to kind of all men's schools and so on and was never very comfortable with the opposite sex. He was unmarried, you know, even after turning 30. However, fate decreed that he met his future wife at a musical function. So Manna Da was supposed to sing at a cultural event, and one of the songs was supposed to be a duet, a Bengali duet, with a lady who was actually a Malayali. And she wasn't familiar with Bengali, so she needed a lot of practice, a lot of rehearsals. Her name was Sulochana Kumaran, and Manna Da says that the minute he set eyes on her, he knew that this woman was destined to be with him forever. After a pretty long courtship and a little bit of opposition at home and so on, they finally got married in 1953. Few years later, he was the proud father of two young daughters, Suroma and Sumita. Manna Da continued to have a fabulous career. both filmy and non-filmy. He did a lot of compositions for Bengali movies. He also sang a lot for Bengali. He has a whole bunch of albums that are non-filmy albums in both Hindi and in Bengali and other languages. He sang in a lot of languages actually. He never let language become a barrier to him singing. In fact, he won the National Award for Best Male Playback for Chemin, a Malayalam movie. Salilda gave music for that movie, so he won an award for singing in Malayalam actually. He says his wife helped him with the pronunciations. I don't know if he was absolutely perfect in it, but that would be kind of nitpicking. Song is beautiful, Manasa Mainaverum. He had I think he felt somehow underappreciated by the Bombay film industry, but I don't know if that was necessarily true. I think when you look at the fan clubs around the world that are dedicated and devoted to Manna Da, it seems like he was very much loved and appreciated. Who knows, maybe in his own feeling he had something else that he was expecting from them. Sadly, October of 2013 saw this wonderful human being leave this earthly plane and move on to a much higher spiritual plane. But for the next song, I want to share one from another of Basu Bhattacharya's trilogy, Aavishkar. Again, it was Kanu Roy's music with Kapil Kumar writing this song. Very, very beautiful movie, again, very sensitively made. Sharmila Tagore, Rajesh Khanna in the lead. Manna Da has sung this song. I can't even tell you how beautifully. It touches your heart in such a way. He has brought out the pain, the frustration, the sorrow that the words express really beautifully. From Aavishkar, हंसने की चाह ने कितना मुझे रुलाया है.
हंसने की चाह ने कितना मुझे रुलाया है. कोई हमदर्द नहीं, दर्द मेरा साया है. हंसने की चाह ने कितना मुझे रुलाया है. दिल तो उलझा ही रहा जिंदगी की बातों में. सांसें जलती हैं कभी कभी रातों में. दिल तो उलझा ही रहा जिंदगी की बातों में. सांसें जलती हैं कभी कभी रातों में. किसी की आह पर तारों को प्यार आया है. कोई हमदर्द नहीं, दर्द मेरा साया है. हंसने की चाह ने कितना मुझे रुलाया है.
For the last song for today, it's again a personal favorite of mine, just showcasing how fun Manna Da could be. It's from the movie Padosan. No, not Ek Chaturanar. I know that a lot of you are waiting for that. I am not going to share that with you today. This is a solo, picturized on Mahmood Saab singing to Saira Banu. Manna Da is absolute genius in this song. From Padosan, Aao Savariya.
Vaga, vaga.
Ayyo, ama galati kiya je, ama hindi mein gaata.
Oh, आओ सुन दे सजरिया सांवरिया सांवरिया आओ 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 सांवरिया हाँ सांवरिया आओ 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 सांवरिया। तू क्या जाने पिया जले मोरा जिया, तू क्या जाने पिया 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 रे, तू क्या जाने पिया, तू क्या जाने तू क्या जाने तू क्या जाने तू क्या जाने जले मोरा जिया, तू क्या जाने तू क्या जाने तू क्या जाने तू क्या जाने पिया जले मोरा जिया, मोरी नजरिया तोरी अटरिया अयो अटकी रे अटकी ओ आओ वांगा आओ सांवरिया हाँ सांवरिया आओ 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 सांवरिया।
That's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know it's very frustrating for a lot of you because there are so many songs. It's frustrating for me too, frankly, because I could sit here for hours talking about, off the top of my head, at least 50 songs of Manna Da that I would love for everybody to hear and appreciate and get all the nuances and so on. Time is definitely of the essence, so we cannot go on for that long. I'll be back with more about Manna Da in the future. For those of you who've subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. For those of you who haven't, please go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel and spread the word among your family and friends. I will see you in 2 weeks, but until then remember, music is food for the soul. Keep listening.